Welcome back to the Salad and Carbs podcast, the only place where you can get 2 of your 5 a day. Welcome back, Carbs. How are you and what have you been up to?
I'm pretty good, thanks. It's a nice day today. There is something that you set me to do a while ago, and I think we were planning to do it together, but I ended up doing it on my own. I went to that Mexican place that you advised me to eat at.
What a legend. You went to Crazy Pancho's.
Went there. I didn't go there myself. I ordered it, but either or. I think I made the mistake of ordering the footlong burrito, thinking that I just want to fill myself up. So I ordered the footlong burrito with chips, and yeah, I struggled. I ate all the burrito. I didn't eat all the chips, but the burrito I was struggling towards the end of the burrito.
Wow. Footlong burrito and chips.
Yeah.
This is a burrito that comes on, a number of tortillas, not just the one burrito.
Yeah.
It's probably many burritos, probably many tortillas, sorry. What fillings did you get?
So primarily beef, but then you can put what you want on it in terms of your sauces, can't you? So I opted for salsa, sour cream, and pinto beans. I think I got on it, pinto beans. Cheese as well. So I'm telling you, that was a great recommendation. It was really good. I loved it. I just think I ordered too much food.
Yeah, that's the thing with the footlong burrito. We will go and do a dual review at some point, but I'm glad that you like it because that means it's definitely on now. It is unbelievable. Like if we go in person, he knows me. We can do some little trade secrets. You know what I mean? Like you got beef, I can ask for all 3 if I want. Just instead of one portion of one, I'll get a third of each of all the meats. So the pork, the chicken, and the beef. Then it'll be pinto beans, it'll be the plain rice, guacamole, sour cream, cheese, the hot salsa. I love the hot salsa because there's 3 different types of salsa that he does. He does a medium, which is hot anyway, then a hot, and then a stupidly hot. Did you get a drink?
I didn't need one. I've got drinks at my house, but you reminded me as well, the rice, I think I ordered the same rice as you, the plain rice, and the salsa I got was medium. But in terms of strength, I've had other medium strength salsas that were much more mild than that.
Yeah, it's very, very spicy. The hot is ridiculous. I'm a fiend for eating hot foods, even though I shouldn't, because it doesn't really agree with me that well anymore. When I was younger, I used to just smash it, curries, the lot. Just give me as many chilies as possible. I only asked about drinks because they actually do proper Mexican soft drinks called Jarritos, and they are incredible. They were probably on the menu, probably something you don't have at home in regards to Jarritos, but I would recommend one of them next time. Like you can get cola, you can get guava, watermelon, you name it. It's just soda, Mexican soda. But I think it's just the creme de la creme.
Imports it in as well, or is this something he makes himself?
Everything's imported. Like the tortillas that he has are imported. The beans are probably imported. Like everything that can be Mexican is Mexican in there. So, that's pretty cool. I'm glad that you went.
Yeah, you reminded me of something as well when you talk about this. I don't know if I mentioned it the last time we spoke about food, but you know how the Caribbean culture, in my opinion, everything just blends together. Like you're having your jerk chicken, or curry goat with your rice and peas, it just goes together. And then you got the coleslaw goes with it. And then if you're eating that, you've got your cocktails, like your rum punch, that just goes with it perfectly. And then on top of that, if you're listening to reggae music, it just goes with it perfectly. And you reminded me of that a little bit because I feel like this Mexican drink you mentioned, I've forgotten the name of it already, to be honest with you. I feel like this Mexican drink probably complements the Mexican food, like your rum punch complements your Caribbean food, like your jerk chicken and your curry goat.
It does. It just adds to the ambience, let's say. Like when you go to the actual restaurant, and I think ordering it, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I've ordered it in the past before, and it's never been that great because it takes a while for it to be delivered. They've probably got better over time, but I think nothing beats going there. You can sit in, but it's tiny. Like it's such a tiny shop. But when you go, it's like going to fucking Hector Salamanca's house. It's literally like you've got a small, do you know them small TVs with video player at the bottom? It's got one of them bad boys, and he's playing like the Mexican hits. It's like that Heisenberg song that they played on one of the Breaking Bad episodes, Mariachi Band. And then you've got like the Mexican Enrique Iglesias singing the hits. Oh, honestly, it's unbelievable. But that sounds incredible. I'm glad that you got the footlong. I'm glad that you managed to eat it. Made the mistake with the chips in the past. And funnily enough, they have something on the menu called the Clayton Burrito. This is for the cultured people of Clayton who might not like rice,
chips in it.
but instead want chips in their burrito. I mean, whatever floats your boat, you know what I mean? We've got to cater for all audiences. But I've never been inclined to get the Clayton burrito. But yes, Crazy Pancho's review version 1.0 seems to have been a success. Have you been up to anything else other than going to Crazy Pancho's?
The moment, not an awful lot. I've been mainly watching a lot of streaming. Like, there's an alpha for a game that's coming out in September, so I haven't got access to it because it's North America access only. So I've been watching people stream it on Twitch and that, and it's been good fun, you know, because one of these Twitch streamers I've been watching in particular, he does read a lot of the comments out and he replies to it, and he's just like really laid back, even when he's like playing badly in the game. He just like has a laugh about it. It's like, it's good atmosphere because quite a lot of people are enjoying to hate on the game, whether it's warranted or not. So it's just good just to find someone who's just going in having a good time, actually having a good time, not faking it, and just like interacting with his viewers as well. And I felt part of it. It felt good. Felt part of it. That's what I've been mainly doing, as well as like YouTubers on people covering the alpha as well. But that's finished now. So other than that as well, I've been watching a bit of football. I know me beloved Blackburn Rovers didn't make it into the playoffs. Our beloved Burnley FC didn't quite make it as champions. Promotion, doesn't matter. Am I right in saying there were Natasha Bedingfield on the pitch singing or something like that?
Absolutely. Got this on my list.
Or was it just someone
it was actually Natasha Bedingfield. Yeah. So
you can take that one off your bucket list now.
Absolutely. Me and my partner went to the game, and I've been checking for tickets, and it was a sellout. But then I think because of the 12:30 kickoff, end of season, we'd already gone up. And I think the party had already sort of half happened when we beat Sheffield United. So there were 2 tickets. I found 2 tickets. So I actually bought the tickets and we went to watch them. And obviously it was disappointing to concede the goal because then Trafford would have broken the record. And it was a bit of a rubbish goal to concede. And we were sat right in the bottom of the Jimmy McElroy stand, which is the one behind the goal.
The Jim Mac, I've heard it.
The Jim Mac. We were sat right at the bottom and at the front, right in the corner. So you could see the goal go in, and I knew it were going to go in. That was the most disappointing thing.
See it coming
a ball over the top, and then it was just one of them. The defence has done well all season. And then the ball came across and I thought, oh no, they've had a mix-up, and then balls ended up in back at net. But then we scored pretty much straight away, equalised.
Which is something that followed suit for the whole season, really, hasn't it? Even when you have conceded, you've like hit back quickly a lot of the times, I found.
Absolutely. With that man Brownhill again. Well, it was Ashley Barnes. He charged down a poor piece of defending, and then the ball just ran to Brownhill and he slotted it in, and that were 1-1. And then, we ended up winning 3-1. Got a nice video of Brownhill's free kick. And it was weird because obviously people were keeping tabs on the lead score, and at half-time we were drawing, they were losing, so we were going to be champions. And then we were 2-1 up. So we were loving life. But then we knew that Leeds had equalised. And then by the time Brownhill had scored the third in like the 3rd minute, you could tell that we knew in the ground that Leeds had scored their winner. Because even though we'd just scored to go 3-1 up, it weren't as vibrant as it was when we went 2-1.
Yeah.
But then, the presentation happened. And then the announcer said, and the song that the squad have been singing all season. And I knew that it was unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield because I've been following the story. And I was like, hey, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, Natasha Bedingfield's here in the flesh. And off she pops, running around the stadium, giving it all, waving and singing. If she were all right. There were a guitarist there and a backing track. But she sounded really good. And to be fair, she must have been out of her comfort zone because she were running round ground. Like, when the chorus kicked in, I thought everyone were going to start singing, but then I remembered I were at Turf Moor. And you know what I mean? You're asking a lot of middle-aged blokes to be knowing some Natasha Bedingfield. But my partner loved it. She'd never seen Natasha Bedingfield.
Good.
And on the back of that 2-track advert, so she sang Unwritten and These Words. I was singing every word, me. You know what I mean? I'm a millennial, grew up with lass.
These Words is a good song, I think. I think These Words is better than the other one, personally.
I do. I thought that was the banger, really.
Yeah.
But, she played them too. And then, do you know what? She whipped off the media jacket, as we call it, and then she had a Burnley shirt on underneath. You know what I mean? Who'd have thought it? All these years, I never knew Natasha Bedingfield were a Burnley fan. But you probably would be for 50k to come and sing 2 songs at Burnley's promotion celebration. So, that were good. And then they had there was the parade in the town. I didn't go because, we'd seen it at the ground on Saturday. But apparently, one of the flares, so the players on the bus were asking fans to throw flares up to them. And Oliver Son, one of our, I think he's like a left or a right back, Peruvian international, but he's not played much. But he went to catch it and he didn't catch it and it's hit him in the head. And you should see pictures of him. His head's all burnt, like his beard's been singed, and his face is all black with smoke.
So they asked the crowd to throw on flares, but they also wanted them to be lit before they threw them to them.
Well, I have a feeling these flares were already lit. So fans would have been waving them around and players would have been like, oh, give us one, give us one.
Yeah.
And then obviously they've thrown it up and he's not caught it properly. And then Brownhill's posting all over Instagram, picture of Oliver Son, and he looks like he's just fallen down chimney, does lad.
Good job season's finished, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, he's out next week. He's got a slight facial injury due to a flare being thrown at him. But yeah, it was very good. Good to see Natasha Bedingfield. We have no questions this week. They've all dried up. I feel like we're going to have to get Delia out again. Where are you? Where are you, Matt? We name an episode after you, and now you've deserted us. That's what you really wanted, isn't it, Matt?
I know this person, and I also know that he's on holiday at the moment.
He's on holiday?
Yeah. So, and I know he's a Rovers fan as well, and I know that he took it pretty hard as not getting it. He was very disappointed, but he had a holiday coming up, and he's relaxing with a few pints over on holiday. So I think that's what it is more than anything.
Post-season holiday. Salad over-analysing. I'm sorry, Matt. Don't mug yourself. Get yourself a pina colada. Get your feet up. And we'll be seeing you in that comment section soon enough. We are actually recording 3 episodes over consecutive days so we can get to the end of season 1 before I go on some holidays. We're going to be having a few bevs in the last one, in the season closer of season 1. So it'll be episode 10. The Phantom Menace, and we'll be having a few bevs, so expect a bit of fun with that one. I've been having a look at the stats as well, and in comparison to our ill-fated, incredible, You Never Seen Out Like It podcast.
Incredible. Never seen out like it.
Absolutely. That was the buzzword. Like, if we were on a squash court, that was being said.
Incredible.
Probably about 17 times per
game
set. Yeah, absolutely. Not even in the whole session, just in a game. Yeah, we had 16 plays over 12 months. If we look at the stats across both Spotify and YouTube, I think we're over like 250 plays now. And on Spotify alone, over 45 hours have been listened to. And we have 9 followers, which is quite cool. You know, like I'd need a calculator or an abacus to be working this out, and I probably should have worked it out beforehand. But that is a significant improvement on last time. And I think it's enough fuel in the fire to want to go again. You know what I mean? We've survived. We didn't get relegated. And I think we regroup and we go again next season. And in season 2, we'll have lots more fun to bring you. It looks like we had a peak, though, with episodes 3 and 4, which sort of starts making you think, shall we do a podcast about TV shows and adverts? Probably not. But that seems to be what people are vibing over. But saying that, I've spoken to people since, and we do have a regular core of listeners, Matt being one of them. But I believe that I think Carl got a shout out in the last episode. He was very happy with his shout out. He sent me a message saying, "You're just a bus stop in Watford." He absolutely loved it. My mum also wants a shout out. Go on, Mum. She's listened to everyone, and she claims to be the first female listener. And I think this goes back to Ash being our first non-binary listener. And I think that, it riled up some people. People wanted to know where they sat amongst the Salad and Carbs podcast listeners. So there you go, Mum. You probably were the first female listener, and you're a bit of a veteran when it comes to the Salad and Carbs podcast, because you have listened to all 7 episodes and you're always telling me about them. And you keep listening, and there is your shout out. But this episode 8, is going to be all about travel. So if you remember all the way back in episode 7, A New Hope, or whatever they called episode 7, I have no idea. We were talking about music. So in episode 7, we were talking about music. And then towards the end of that episode, we started talking about, have we got any plans to see any artists? And then that sort of moved into, have we got any holidays planned? So this episode then became all about travel. So to lead us nicely into the next section, just before we take a break, it is that time We're going to burn some carbs. Quick burn carbs. I would like to know about the first holiday you went on. Go.
First holiday I ever went on was in Pontins in Southport, and it's an absolute shithole. I mean, at the time as a kid, I loved it because you're talking about like kids' activities, magicians, all that stuff. Captain Croc, all that palaver. There's by a beach and that. Looking back at it now, it was pretty rubbish, but at the time I liked it.
Thank you very much for that, Carbs. All about Pontins. Ooh. This is the Salad and Carbs podcast, the only place where you can get 2 of your 5 a day. We will be back right after this break. Welcome back to the Salad and Carbs podcast, the only place where you can get 2 of your 5 a day. Before the break, we were talking about Natasha Bedingfield and how she's been a secret Burnley fan all of her life. We were talking about Crazy Panchos, but takeaway Crazy Panchos, which is sort of semi-acceptable. You know, we'll allow that. He's been and tried it, but we actually need to go to Hector Salamanca's gaff and see that bell ring, listen to Enrique Iglesias, get ourselves a bottle of Jarritos and get us some hot salsa, which we will be doing. It is on the list. And then, you know, we did the usual analytics and all that sort of stuff, and then we moved on to the actual nitty-gritty of the episode, which is going to be all about travel. And then we did a quick burn carbs, and we were talking about first holidays. And I asked Carbs to tell me about his first holiday, and he was telling me that he went to Pontins. Who's not been to Pontins? Tell me more about Pontins.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like a holiday camp in it for kids. You know, you turn up there and then there's like chalets. And at the time as a kid, I never thought anything of it. It was just like, all right, yeah, this is where we're staying. You know, this is where you just think like this is where we put our head down at night when we come back, you know. And looking back on it, I mean, it was shocking. It was absolutely shocking. Like the standard was awful. But again, when you're a kid, you don't think of these things. Looking back at now as an adult, it were awful. But at the same time, as much as I'm saying it's awful and I'm dogging on it, I did have a good time at the time. So you've got like your day activities where like you might like go like trampolining and you know you can like rent like a go-kart and then you get on your go-kart and you ride around the site on the dedicated tracks, you know, and you got your mini golf and then like climbing frames and stuff like that and swimming. There's basically just all sorts of activities. And then when you're sick of being on site, there was a beach nearby as well, and there was like bars and pubs and stuff. So that was good to see as well. Like just that side to it. And believe it or not, I mean, at the time, the Southport beach wasn't actually that bad. It was pretty decent. It was pretty good condition. It well kept. Don't know about now. It was a long time ago. So I don't know if it's followed the same suit as what Blackpool Beach may have like fallen into, you know. But at the time, it was good. Back to on site in Pontins though. During the later times, they put on like a magician show for the children, and then like you watch the magician show, then after a specific time, they would then take you across to the main bar area, like where the adults may have been watching like a cabaret or any sort of like adult entertainment. I don't literally mean adult entertainment. I mean like entertainment for adults. You can take that face off. You can wipe that face off. You know, like just maybe shows. You know, maybe like a comedian. Maybe they have like a singer on. Anyway, so they took the kids over, and that's when they got the kids for the kids show. They pulled out Captain Croc, which is like the mascot of the holiday camp for Pontins. And I know as a kid, like in the lead up to going to Pontins, how excited I was. I was like, oh my God, I want to see Captain Croc. Like I even like, this is how excited for Captain Croc I were. When we arrived at the gate for Pontins and we're going in, there's literally a flag with Pontins on it waving in the air. I was still skeptical about whether we turned up to the right place because I hadn't seen Captain Croc yet. I was like, Are we in the right place? We come to the right place, Mum. Like I haven't seen Captain Croc yet. She's like, oh, you'll see him tonight. You'll see him tonight. And I saw him. And I remember turning to my mum and saying, "It is Pontins, isn't it? That's Captain Croc." Like, yeah, that was the first day. Right, that was the first day that happened. And yeah, and so then they put the show on for the kids, Captain Croc et al. And then after that, they then say, "Oh, good night, children." And then children get put to bed, and the adults that might not have responsibility for children, they stay out and then, you know, carry on drinking, etc., etc. Rinse, repeat next day. That's kind of the formula of it. I've never been to like a Haven or a Butlins though. I presume they're similar. Have you been to any of those at all? Any of these kids' parks?
No, I have not been to Haven. I think I have been to Pontins. You went to the one in Southport, I'm guessing, based on the beach. I think I went to one in Great Yarmouth, which was a bit random for me when I got there. I don't think. How old were you when you went?
And I think, man, I mean, I must have been in primary school.
I think I were in primary school, but I were a little bit more cynical. Me, I were a bit more like, what is this like? Captain Croc of shit. Like, what's going on here? There's the 7 letters in Pontins, the 7 letters in prisons. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep.
But the
Agreed.
Accommodation, when I got to the accommodation and I saw it, I was thinking, wow, no expense spared here. They call them chalets. Chalets. It almost sounds exotic. Bloody hell, have you seen one of them fucking chalets? Yeah, French. Never seen French. Students live in better conditions.
We do.
But yeah, it were. I don't know. It sounded like you had a bit of a magical time. You know what I mean? You're excited to see Captain Croc. I don't even think I saw Captain Croc. I guess it depends on, you know, the family vibe as well. I think when I went, I think the adults wanted to just go out and drink in the evening, so we just got to give them some money, and it was like, go to the arcade and entertain yourself kind of thing.
I forgot about the arcade. So much. That was a pretty good thing about it.
Oh, the arcade was the best bit. I mean, it was still in those times when, you know, and you'd always have some like older kids there, or you'd meet other kids, like meeting kids on holidays, like your friends who you meet on holiday. That were unbelievable. And then worst bit was saying goodbye to them at end, like, oh, send me a pigeon from Luton, send me a pigeon from Cornwall, wherever you're from, please stay in touch. Never kept in touch with any of them. But the older kids had figured out that you could tip up the coin machine and all its 10p's would fall out, and then you'd have loads of 10p's. And it was like, right, okay. Early bit of crime watch tackle. Not saying that I participated in any of these activities, I'll have you know, Pontins, but it certainly helped us defeat the final boss on the Simpsons game, that's for sure. Have you been on any other holidays? So that was your first taste of holiday action. What about later holidays, or maybe the next holiday? Maybe we can have like a little chronological look at the holidays you've been on, or key ones.
Yeah, I can rattle a few off. I mean, I have been to the Pontins in Prestatyn as well, but that was by the time where I reached the mentality that you were talking, like, you know, what we're doing here. Like, but it was just good just to be like in a new location rather than going to Southport again. Another holiday that I will mention again, that I went to was Blackpool. Been to Blackpool a few times, and like looking back on it now, it was a good time. It was good family fun. You know, you'd got the attractions, you got the Blackpool Tower, and then Sea Life Centre, Madame Tussauds. I'm not a theme park person, but it is. I didn't mind going to the theme park because I know my brother enjoyed it. But there's all sorts of stuff to do, even if you don't go to these main attractions. There's always just something to. It's just fun, just walking along the promenade, like, or on the piers and whatnot. One of the holidays in Blackpool that I went to, we actually saw a comedic couple called Hale and Pace. And I don't know if you've ever heard of these, but they were pretty popular back in the day, and they had their own TV show on ITV. There's even like a segment that like me and my brother still quote to this day, where like it's like a trope throughout the entire that one episode. This guy just keeps coming around just like with a massive like a pepper dispenser and just goes blah blah blah. And I won't spoil it. If you end up seeing it, I won't spoil it. But it's in various contexts, and there's the dissonance of it that makes it funny. And anyway, so we went to see Hale and Pace one of these times. We're at Blackpool, which were pretty fun. It's a good memory of mine. Moving on a bit from there, you're talking about like the holidays when we started to wanting to go abroad as a family. So the first time I flew abroad for a holiday was to a place called Salou, which isn't far from Barcelona, and it was good. I enjoyed it. Like, it was the first time where we just kind of sat around the pool, sunbathed, you know, the attractions in the you know, like the games in the hotel at night and that, and then they had entertainment on whatnot. And you know, during the day we might go for a walk and have like go for some drinks and something to eat. And it was a lot different, but I liked it because although you might, as a kid, you might think, oh, I don't want to go there and just do nothing. When you're in a country that's hotter than what you used to, you actually appreciate relaxing more, and then you end up wanting to go into the pool more, and you get sick of being in the pool, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to lie down. I'm going to play my Game Boy and lie down, listen to some music. So that was my first holiday abroad. I've been to Zante. Went to Zante as well. So I went to Ibiza, which is pretty much the same sort of holiday I had for Salou. I don't want to elaborate too much on that. Zante, again, similar sort of thing. Relaxing family holiday. And then got to an age where me and my brother were starting to think like, okay, do we still want to go on holiday with our parents? Do they want to take us on holiday with them? They were thinking the same thing as us. Me and my brother were thinking the same thing. Like, I want to go with my mates. Brother wants to go with his mates. Parents just kind of wanted like a couple's holiday alone as well. We're getting to that age where we're kind of like getting in the way of them a little bit. So the first holiday without my parents was to Tenerife, and it was with some friends. Well, you know, I say friends. Some of them were close friends. Some of them were friends of friends. You know what it is like?
Lads.
Lads. Yeah, make the numbers up. Get some lads in. Make the hotels cheaper. And that one was just okay. Go out at night, get drunk, come home at the end, wake up late as fuck, lie around the pool, sweat it all out, and make most of your all-inclusive drinks and snacks and everything like that. Recharge, go again that night, rinse, repeat. I think it may have only been like the fourth night we were there where we didn't go out because we were just like, yeah, can't do this anymore. Can't do this. And there's been a few holidays like that. I mean, I've been to Tenerife a few times. Been to Gran Canaria as well, similar sort of deal. One holiday that sticks out in particular was my first time I went to USA. So the first time I went, I think it was in 2016. So me and a close friend of mine brought his brother with him. There was his sister and his brother-in-law that were coming later on as well. I'll get to that. So me, my mate and his brother went to New York City. Stayed about 4 days in New York City, which was great. Did Central Park, Liberty, you know, Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building, Ground Zero, all that great tourist stuff, Rockefeller Building, all that stuff. All crammed it all into 4 days. Brilliant. Weather were gorgeous as well. After that, we flew to Orlando. So we spent about 9 days in Orlando. Then that was mainly like you're relaxing, really, like the relaxing part of it, because we've done like the hustle and bustle city holiday, the relaxing. A few activities that we did while we're in Orlando as well. Can get to them later on if you like. And then what we had to do was, because the flights were more expensive, like considerably more expensive, to fly back to Manchester from Orlando, we decided to do another internal flight back to New York because we booked a return flight from New York City from Manchester to New York. So it was actually cheaper to get an internal flight back to New York than it were to fly back from Orlando. So that's what we did. And because we checked our bags in really, really early, we actually had another do at Cycling Rain Central Park again, which were pretty good. So we had like rinsing the most out of our holiday. And most people would just been like, just waiting the airport. Nah, we were like, get on the subway, get fucking back in New York City. And there's an irony to it as well, because we paid for transfers from the airport to the hotel we were stopping in New York City. We hadn't ridden the subway at all before. We weren't confident with it. When we got the subway back to New York to New York City, like Times Square sort of area, we walked out the subway, got up. Oh, that's the hotel we stopped in. So if we'd have done that the first time around, we wouldn't have needed to pay the extra fee for the transfers. We could have just got subway. Knowing what we knew then, we probably would have made a different decision. But whatever, it's a story, innit? Been to USA again. That was a couple of years after that, where it was more of a road tripping sort of holiday. So we landed in Orlando, got a car rental straight away for a couple of weeks, visited a few cities along the way to New Orleans. Lived in New Orleans. Yeah, stayed in New Orleans for 2 days, and then made it back. Stayed somewhere else along, on the way back as well, and then the rest of it was in Orlando, and that was like again going back to what I was saying before. You do your hustle and bustle, sort of stressful-ish part of your holiday. The remainder of the holiday after the road trip was just like, yeah, let's just chill around the pool and go to bars and things like that. There was an interesting caveat to that as well, because in 2018, it was when England was in the World Cup, and I don't know if you remember, England played Colombia in that World Cup, and it was when we got to penalties, and England being England, we don't win penalties, do we? But we won that one, and I remember getting to the balcony of the villa we were in, celebrating, me, my mate, and his dad. His dad came on that particular holiday, and we were celebrating, jumping, like hugging each other, like jumping around and that. Looked down over the balcony. What did we see? We see 3 guys in Columbia shirts looking up at us. And then, yeah, carried on going. I'm like, oh shit, we best get back anyway, else we get capped or something. Like, and then, anyway, that point aside, we ended up going out to some like local boys. These weren't your tourist boys, by the way. These were like your redneck local boys. That were quality. We were a hit at those boys. They loved us that night. Yeah, I've been to other places as well, but I think I'm gonna, leave it there for now, unless if there's anything you want to ask at all, anything you want to add to it.
No, sounds really interesting. You talk about that progression from holidays we go on with our parents. I was lucky. I went to See, my first holiday was a holiday abroad, and we went to Cyprus, but I was only 2, and I have like the vaguest memories of it. I can literally remember being on the plane. I actually had food poisoning, so I was sick on some family members, and then they had to take me to hospital when we landed. I remember I had a blue and white stripy shirt. I looked like a French kid.
Sheffield Wednesday.
No, so the stripes were going the other way.
Reading.
Hoops, yeah, but very tight hoops though.
Yeah.
So like proper français. But yeah, can't really remember much. Got up to some mischief. I think my brother and sister were left to look after me, and I managed to like escape I think they'd gone for a sneaky cigarette. I think that had what had happened, and then I wandered off and ended up going into this lift on my own, and then they'd lost me. But then they found me very quickly. But then after that, I think we went on holiday to Majorca, and that was one of them mad holidays. I actually nearly drowned on that holiday. So I was in the swimming pool, and the shallow end and the deep end were like, obviously they're all joined together, but there was just like a sheer drop. So I was in the shallow end, and I just walked off, and I couldn't swim, and I was under the water like for a bit, and I couldn't swim, and no one were coming to get me. And then all of a sudden, this like swimming costume came in, and it was my sister, and she'd looked up and she couldn't see me, and then she realised I were in the pool, and she came and saved me. I don't know how long I'd have lasted, but yeah, that was a close shave. So thank you very much, Carly, for saving me that day. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the Salad and Carbs podcast, would we? Then it was a lot of, UK holidays. So I remember going to Devon a lot as a kid. Went to Devon a couple of times, classic caravan in a place called Westward Ho, which is the only place in the UK that has an exclamation mark in it, which is unbelievable when you think about it. But yes, Westward Ho. And we did a few years there consecutive. Typical clubhouse. You can go and play bingo in the evenings. You can watch the hypnotist, the magician, whoever turns up that night doing the entertainment. But the kids have like an arcade, and there's a pool table and all that sort of stuff. And again, you meet your friends.
New friends.
You meet people who might be on the same caravan park as you, because it were a static caravan jobby. Funnily enough, I actually went with my partner. So we actually went on holiday to Devon and Cornwall. And it was on this holiday we made a stop off at Westward Ho, just to have a look, see what it looked like now. And a lot of the same places are still there, but there's been a lot of modernisation, let's say, a lot of developments and things. And then I went on a cruise. So I went on a cruise when I was about 11, just started school. So I was 11, just got into year 7, just started, literally been at school for about 4 days, and then we're on holiday for 2 weeks. What a way to not make friends. Because when you come back off that holiday, all the friend groups have been established, and then you've got the very hard task of trying to befriend people who have already made their alliances, kind of thing. The cruise was all right, you know what I mean? Don't think it was something for the kids, really. I think it was more for the adults. But got to see a lot of places. That was probably the best bit about it for me. And then, yeah, there have been many other trips since. And then you were talking about you get to that age where maybe you don't go on holiday with your parents anymore. Maybe they just want to go on a holiday on their own without the kids, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It can't be cheap, can it? Ferrying loads of kids around on holiday and
Exactly.
stuff like that. You know what I mean? Even though, like, in a lot of these places, like, kids get discounted and things like that. But yeah, then I think I went to Amsterdam. So you talked about like lads' holidays, and you talked a lot about like relaxing holidays. Now this is weird because I've never gone on a holiday. There's only one, but I'm going to mention that last. But I've never been on holidays to go and chill, because it's just not like, to be honest, if I want to go and sit by a pool, I could just go to the sports centre. You know what I mean? There's a pool there. Fuck me. It's warm enough. You know what I mean? Sit on them balconies. It's fucking roasting. You know what I mean? They've got all the facilities. If I want to go and get a cocktail, I'll fucking sort myself out. Sat there with my fucking margarita. Like, yes, here we are, Burnley Leisure Centre, living the dream. When I go on holiday, I want to cram in as much as I can. So my lad's holiday, inverted commas, was with some friends from uni. We went to Amsterdam, and I think we went for 4 days, and it was just ridiculous. It was insane. We got really lucky because we'd literally arrived. We went in the morning. I think the flight, we were there at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Got the train from Schiphol, which is the airport, into Amsterdam city centre, and then we found our hotel. And then like Amsterdam is like a circle, if you will, or maybe like an elongated semicircle, because it's all canals. So all the streets are like laid in between the canals. It's a fascinating setup. But then there was a bar, so we couldn't check in. We went to check in. No, you're too early. Right, no worries. Typical Brits being early. And then there was a bar, so it was like, what are we going to do? And I was like, well, let's not be typical tourists and stand here like we don't know what we're doing. Let's go to the bar. So we went to the bar and we got a drink. So I was sat there having a drink. And then there was a wasp, and this wasp were pecking me head in. So I was like, get away from me. So
When
I'm stood
leaving you
up
alone.
Anyway, these two Dutch people didn't like me fighting this wasp, so they cleared off. Anyway, this guy then turns up, just on his own, older guy, on his fold-up bike. And then after about 10 minutes, he's listening to us. He's listening to us talk. And obviously, we were all uni students, you know what I mean? We weren't your typical, like, yeah, mate, in between us, yeah, mate, smash that, mate, way, fucking, yeah, mate. It were none of that. It was more like, oh, yes, what did you think about the dissertation? And yes, oh, yeah, the movement between Tarantino films. And yes, fucking fantastic. You know what I mean? Might as well all have had fucking tweed jackets on and we're all sat there stroking beards. But then this guy took a shine to us. And then we started talking to him, blah, 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 blah. And then he said, right, I'll let you go on, enjoy Amsterdam, but meet me here tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I want you to have all have rented bicycles. Honestly, what a guy. So this guy turned out to be, well, I'm going to mention his name. He was called Pascal. And he was a cycling infrastructure person, and he was responsible for the cycling infrastructure in Holland, but not just Holland, other countries as well. So he'd done stuff in London. So there were the Boris bikes when bikes were becoming popular, when Boris Johnson was the mayor of London. He'd worked with Boris Johnson. He had about 8 companies. One of them was called Velo Mondial, which is like cycle or bicycle world bicycle. Anyway, he took us on a bike ride. We did not get off those bikes until about 3 o'clock the following morning. We were literally on those bikes all day. We went everywhere. He took us out of Amsterdam city centre, took us around, took us to a beach, took us to these bars, took us all over the place. And then for the next, I think we were there for 4 days, and for 3 of those days, we spent the majority of them with Pascal. He cooked us a meal. We went round to his house, his city centre apartment. He's like, oh, buy some drinks, bring whatever you want, just bring it. Let us into his apartment, beautiful place, cooked a meal for us all, took us out to clubs, took us out cycling, showed us loads of stuff. Honestly, it was amazing. Like, what an amazing time. Just by chance or fate, whatever you want to call it, it was incredible. And then obviously we did do some of the lad stuff as well. You know, we did get to the red light district, we did get to the coffee shops. And funnily enough, in Amsterdam, they don't just sell coffee. They sell, like, various plants. Now, these plants, you can actually put in a cigarette and you can smoke them. And they do funny things to you. So we did a little bit of that funny cigarette smoking that you might do in Amsterdam. But that's what sunglasses are for, aren't they? You know what I mean? When you've all been having an espresso and some lemon haze or a white widow, you know what I mean? Sunglasses don't half come in handy when 5 lads from the northwest of England have all been sat in there like Cheech and Chong and then decide to go to Dam Square. So yeah, Amsterdam was unbelievable. Loved it. Perfect for cycling around. What an immense time. Then I've been to the US as well. So you went to the US and like you said, you went to New York. New York sounds incredible. I have actually been to New York, but I've only been to the airport. So I've seen the Manhattan skyline. I've landed there. I've set off from there, but I haven't actually been to New York. But I did go to the southwest of America, flew to San Francisco, rented a car, and then did 4 states in 11 days. Then the last 3 days were back in San Fran, and then flew to New York and then back to Manchester. But that was a journey. I hadn't driven a car for a long time, and that was like the first time I'd driven in ages, and it was like, right, well, here's your car. And it's 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon in San Francisco. Good luck. And it was chaos. But it was great. Went to many places, Mama Flakes, San Luis Obispo, Las Vegas, Grand Canyon, LA, San Fran, Flagstaff. Went to Utah, just on the edge of Utah. Very, very, very fascinating trip. And then later that year, I ended up in Japan. But in America, it was literally road trip, see as much as possible. So there was no respite really. There was no kicking back and chilling by a pool. It was there's a destination we need to be reaching at the end of this day. There was only a couple of places where we were in those places for a couple of nights. One was Las Vegas and one was San Francisco. Every other stop was like a one night stop. And then I went to Japan. Now, Japan was a bit of a working holiday, let's say. I was out there doing some stuff for someone. I think I've mentioned it in the music one that I'd worked with a jazz band from Japan, and I actually went to Japan before I'd been to the US, and Japan was just something else, because when we go on holiday, we tend to go with other people. So more often than not, like we've said, we've been on holidays with family, then we go on trips with our friends. Japan was, well, it wasn't the first time I'd been abroad on my own, because I'd actually been to Germany a couple of times on my own when I was at uni. But Japan was the first time that I'd gone on a long haul flight on my own. And that was an experience, let's say. I felt like, even though I was 27, I felt like I was a boy. And when I came back from Japan, I was a man. It was like a coming of age trip for me. It was literally like my eyes are open. What on earth was that? Because it took me 33 hours to get to Hiroshima, where I was staying. Yeah, absolutely. So I left Accrington, flew from Manchester, went to France. Then I flew from France, and then I thought I was being clever, and I'd follow, like someone was on the plane to France reading a book about Japan. And I thought, hey, my guy's going to Japan as well. Followed him. Excuse me, are you going to Japan? Yeah, I am, but I'm not going for a few days yet. I'm like, no worries, pal. So I thought I'd found myself a travel buddy. Anyway, never mind. Dream died. So I had to get myself to South Korea next. Got to South Korea, and that's when the fun began. Because when I got to Incheon Airport, that's when the English language falls off the edge of the world, and everything is now in kanji. Like, wow, okay, so what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? Good luck with that. Anyway, falling asleep at this point, because I'd probably been awake now for best part of 24 hours. It was a 12.5 hour flight to South Korea. And then I still had like an hour and a half flight to get to Japan. So I landed in Fukuoka, which is in the south of Japan. And then from Fukuoka, I got the Shinkansen, so the bullet train, up to Hiroshima. So I was straight on the bullet train. But luckily, I had someone to meet me in Fukuoka. So the person I was meeting in Hiroshima, Tom, who I mentioned, Tom Southerton, he had arranged for someone, because he worked in Fukuoka, so he knew people there. So he'd arranged for someone to meet me and get me on the train, basically. So they put me on the train. Honestly, I think I've been awake for like 30 hours at this point, and I'd had very little sleep. And I was sat next to this guy, and I just kept falling asleep on his shoulder.
You were that
and then
guy,
he just kept like, and obviously Japanese people, they're dead polite, aren't they? They just want to do well for you. So he just kept like, he should have just turned around and said, mate, will you just fucking get off me? And I'd have just got the message, but he was just like politely lifting me off him. And then I got to Hiroshima, got off at Hiroshima, and then I met Tom. And I was out there for just over a month. So many things went. I had like a week of travel on my own. So, I went to Tsukushima Island, where Miyajima is, and the big red gate. If you search Japan on Google, it's the big red gate in the water. I went to Kyoto, Osaka, Tokyo, did a bit of Hiroshima. But then you get all that stuff in between. And a lot of it was work, you know what I mean? We were doing a lot of filming and stuff like that. But in between, we got to go to the onsen baths and things like that. Honestly, such a fascinating trip. I think we might look at more activities that we've done on holidays in the next section, but there was one place that I'd left out. Now, I'd left this one place out because it sort of overlaps with you, because I know that you've been to this place on your own.
I left it out on purpose, for instance, because I've had a funny feeling that you were going to mention it.
So I actually went to Tunisia, and I went probably about 12 years ago now, maybe 13 years ago. And that was the one holiday where I actually chilled out, because it was just an all-inclusive jobby. You were in Tunisia, didn't really want to be renting a car and driving around Tunisia, if I'm being completely honest. So went to Tunisia, and that was a bit of a resort jobby. Plenty of drinks, plenty of food, loads of entertainment during the night, all that sort of stuff. Did do a few excursions, but I think now is a good time to go for a break. And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about you and how you got on in Tunisia. This is the Salad and Carbs podcast. We will be right back after this break. Welcome back to the Salad and Carbs podcast, the only place where you can get 2 of your 5 a day. Now, I actually did the numbers on the screen, but you can't see that, so you're just going to have to imagine it. But maybe at some point you will actually see that on the screen. Now, before the break, if you're still with us, I will be amazed, because before the break, we had a very, very long section because we were talking about holidays, and what a journey we've been on. We've been from Pontins, good old Pontins. We've been on cruises. We've been to Central Park. We've been to Devon. We've been to Amsterdam. We've been cycling. We've been to the USA. Well, I mentioned Central Park, but we've seen other parts of the USA. We've talked about Japan and travelling alone. I'm sort of still staying on this theme of travelling alone, because when I went to Japan, that was like a proper game changer for me, as I said in the previous section. You know, having to go to the shop, and these people in places like Hiroshima and not in the centre, they're not speaking English that well. So I'm trying to find baked beans, and these people aren't understanding what I'm saying. I'm going in. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to be brave today. I'm going to go to the shop and I'm going to get myself some baked beans. Went into the 7-Eleven, baked beans deska, which is basically baked beans question kind of thing. Baked beans, hi, baked beans deska, baker. And I'm like, what is going on? And then he's like, shimmies me over to some bread. And he's going, baker. It's like, it's like, I love the effort, mate.
I see the logic there.
Baked beans. Oh, I can see the logic. He's gone for the bake. I love that.
Yeah.
But then I'm having to give him the finger and the thumb, like, no, the small, mate, like, baked beans. And then he's like, no. And then he's going to get someone else to help. And then it's just a nightmare. That it's just like random English guy in 7-Eleven saying random English words. Loads of Japanese people trying the best to help. But honestly, signing autographs, honestly, it were ridiculous. And then it ended up, I just said, no, sumimasen, excuse me, no, picked up a chocolate bar, paid for the chocolate bar and left without me baked beans. But that's what it was like. And I talked about Tunisia because I went to Tunisia, but that was my relaxation holiday. That was when I actually kicked back, by the pool. There was a few slides and things like that. Didn't do many excursions. Might come on to them in a little bit, but I know that you travelled alone and you went to Tunisia. What did you find out?
Yeah. So I'll set the scene for this. Essentially, the reason I was going on my own was because I was meeting someone there. And this was a lady that I've been speaking to online. So I think by the time I went to Tunisia, it was in February, which was pretty good time to go for me personally, because even in February, it was pretty hot. But I'd been speaking to this person back in the August before that February. And so we've been talking for quite a while. And then, before I decided, because we were doing like video calls, every week. That's just how comfortable we got with each other. So we decided, shall we meet up? So we met up. And it is very much an experience going somewhere like that on your own, because I'm not throwing any shade on Tunisia. Tunisia is a lovely place, but it's a third world country, and you know that you go into a third world country before you go. It's not quite as advanced as the country that I'm used to, but I'm not throwing shade on it. They've got a lovely setup there going on. They've got their own culture and everything going on, so that's absolutely fine. So this holiday was mainly about getting to know this person in person, as well as like kind of being shown around a little bit. So where I was staying was Tunis, and she was living in a city that was next to Tunis called Ariana. So the first night I got there, got welcomed at the airport by her and her mother, and got in the car. And at this time, as comfortable as I was around, going to Tunisia to meet this person, there's always that doubt in your mind, like, what if this could go wrong? There was people who always like tracking my phone and tracking my AirTag and whatnot, keeping an eye on me and stuff. And it was at night when I got there, and when we were arriving into their apartment, because they were taking to the house to feed me, basically, to give me a meal and welcome me, everything like that, introduce to the family. And you had to drive downwards into a car park, and oh my god, it was so dark. It was like the perfect place to set up an ambush. It was perfect, and that's exactly what was going through my mind when I'm like, "Oh my god, what am I stepping into here? Is this me now?" And anyway, obviously it was okay. I'm still here. We were fine. Got in the elevator. Got in the house. The house was lovely, and introduced to her family. Luckily, she speaks good English anyway, but her brother speaks really good English too. Parents, not so much. Her brother had to be a little bit of a translator at times because at the time when I got there, I was getting a bit of a grilling by the dad, and while the mother was making the food along with the lady that was meeting. Anyway, got a bit of a grilling. Essentially, it boils down to who the hell is this person coming over here, spending the next few days with my daughter? I'm going to be leaving her alone with this person. I need to make sure this guy's sane. So that's what that was all about. I don't take it personally at all. That's completely acceptable behaviour for a parent to think that. Anyway, so it all went well, got fed, it all went well, and I went to the hotel. The first day, we actually met up for a coffee. Got to know each other more. It didn't even feel like we needed to get to know each other more. We'd known each other quite well over the texting, calling, and voice calls as well. So it was just a case of is it the same in person? Which essentially was, took me to some shops like malls, and that took me to some restaurants.
What did you think of those?
The restaurants, really good, really good. So I remember when I was in the airport going back, a local who was flying out to Paris asked me, "What did you think of Tunisia?" And I said, "Beautiful views, lovely people, great food." And he was like, "Well, there you go, you can't go wrong with that." And that's literally it. You can't go wrong with that. The food's great. And there was a place I went to in the final day I was there called La Marsa, which was like a section of Tunis, but it's like by the beach. And that's more of a holiday destination sort of area, which it was good to be around there because it wasn't as hustle and bustle. The drivers weren't as crazy, so it wasn't too bad there. I've got a story about what it was like in the city centre, in the Medina, which is like the local old town market. So we arrived there, and this lady who I'm with, she doesn't go very often. She was kind of showing me around, but she wasn't that familiar with it herself. And we got dragged around by this guy called Yusuf, who is like, the moment he came over speaking to her, I thought, I don't trust this guy. He just looks dishonest. So it turns out he was trying to show us, panoramic view. Look at this view of the Medina. You can get this view in the cafe, but it's not good in the cafe. It's better here. Lo and behold, took us through the Medina. She lost her bearings. In order to get to this panoramic view, we had to walk through a souvenir shop, didn't we? We were fine going in. We weren't allowed to come out, and that was the problem. I didn't want to buy anything, and I can be a stubborn fucker, and I didn't buy anything, and they were not happy with me after that. Anyway, that point aside, that's before we went to La Marsa, and then after the stress of dealing with that, went to La Marsa, got to relax a bit, had a coffee, went for something to eat, and in a nice setting, and that. So that's what that was all about. I like what you said about traveling on your own. It does change you in a way. Like, I know I only went for like 3 days and you went for much longer than that. It's still something to go out there and just do something like on your own. You're trusting your own ability to be able to find your way and work things out for yourself. Luckily for me as well, I have got a little bit of French knowledge in the back, and Tunisia, majority of the Tunisians speak French. A lot of them speak English now as well. It's mainly the younger ones. The older ones don't tend to speak English as much. But the French, though, I can get by with a bit of French, Parlez-vous anglais? Je ne parle pas français, etc., etc. So it wasn't too bad in that regard. And I was changing in Paris as well, which, again, French came in handy. Yeah. Do you have anything to add at all? How did that compare to your experience in Tunis? I know it was more of a relaxing holiday, but you've got a few stories yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, in Tunisia, there was a couple of excursions. You go a bit I go a bit stir crazy, chilling in a resort for 7 days. You know what I mean? I want to get out and about. I want to see stuff.
See the world, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's out there?
So we stayed in a place called Scanes, which is near a place called Monastir. And I think it was with Thomas Cook at the time. That's what they're called TUI now, aren't they? But yeah, it was with Thomas Cook. So there was the first excursion we went on was like a camel ride. Honestly, what on earth? Amazing experience, but just so eye-opening. Now, I don't know about first world, second world, third world countries, but I remember from geography, we have MEDCs and LEDCs. So I'm going to say Tunisia, or parts of Tunisia, probably still have that LEDC status, which is a less economically developed country versus the more economically developed country. Now, we went on this camel ride, and it was with this guy called Fritz, and he was just chilling in the resort. He knew all the fucking languages. There were a parrot in a shop just up the road from the resort that could speak about 8 languages. Russian, German, Italian, French, Spanish, English, you name it. It could say pieces of 8 in every fucking language. It was unbelievable. Fritz was exactly the same. He knew. He was like, all right, mate, I'm a Cockney geezer. It's like, mate, you're not. You're from Tunisia. And you're called Fritz. Anyway, he had me laughing. So I was buying his camel excursion. He was like the Tunisian Del Boy. He were unbelievable. Next thing you know, we're lining up outside with 35 other people getting on this coach. Got on this coach and I sat down and the cushions were ripped. Some of the fittings from above were hanging out. I thought, oh no. And I'm literally looking out the window like a hawk, like, right, which turn did we take there? Where are we? How far away are we going here? And it just seems like we're going further and further. And then all of a sudden we get off and I think, you don't know what to think. You want to think good things, but you know what I mean? You hear about the news and stuff going on in the world and you try and, you have that chatter in your head of like, shit might go down here, but no, let's just try and embrace the moment. Anyway, 30 camels or so up here, and they're all chained up, and I ain't into this. Like, when Fritz sold it to me, I didn't know these camels were going to come like a chain gang, but they did. So all the camels are sat down at the beginning, you get on them, and then you get up, off we go. And I was like, petting my camel, and, you're a sound camel, and, like, I don't know what goes on, but I'm sure the RSPCA won't be too happy about it. But these camels took us through some desert stuff, and we went to a Bedouin village, or what would have been a Bedouin village. It had been like mocked up again, and then we got to see a ceremony, and then they let us walk around the buildings and stuff, and then there was a demonstration where this woman was making us bread in a tandoori oven and making us some fresh harissa paste.
Nice.
Now that was incredible, but she had no hand. It had been chopped off, so she were a hand missing. And I was thinking, right, tell you what, I'll tell them it's nice. Whatever they want to hear, just get me the fuck out of here with both my hands, please. Get me back on my camel. I want to get back to Fritz. Fuck me, I'm going to need a big pina colada when I get back. And then the second excursion was like a bit of a day trip. So we left really early in the morning, and you were saying it's hot in Tunisia. Fucking hell, is it hot? Woke up, it was about 5:30 in the morning, 35 degrees. Yeah.
It's way hotter. It's way hotter than what it went. I think when I went, you're talking like probably like 20, 22 degrees. But because it's the winter time as well, it didn't hit you as hard. But it sounds like you went around maybe the summertime, where it's just
summertime,
brutal.
Honestly, it was 35 degrees. As soon as you get up, 35 degrees, boom, all day for the rest of the day. It was ridiculous. So we went to the Grand Mosque of Kairouan, which was fascinating. Lovely building. Got to see some. We had to put the dress on. You've got to cover yourself. Fine with that. You know what I mean? I'm all about respecting cultures, and I want to learn more. It's an ethnography for me. I want to immerse myself in the culture, because you don't find out about it if you're not willing to participate. You got to gain that trust sometimes. So yeah, looked at the Grand Mosque of Kairouan. Then we went to Sidi Bou Said, which is a UNESCO site.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit like Santorini in Greece, I guess. It's all white buildings with blue trim. And they took us to the Medina there. That was interesting. And that's where, the driving was a little bit erratic, and, you got mopeds everywhere, and everyone's like trying to sell you stuff, and they're like, you want to buy this? And I'm like, nein, danke. And then they start asking me in German, and it's like, man, is there not a language you don't speak? Just leave me alone, because I'm going to have to turn around in a minute and tell you to fuck off. And you ain't going to like that. But, like, they're very touchy-feely. They put stuff on you. And there's me like, yeah, my man's putting me I don't know what the name of the thing is, but it's like a piece of fabric, let's say, that goes on your head. And the minute that I've put it on, I have to pay for it. But like you said, when you tried to get the view of the nice view, you had to go through the panoramic view. You had to go through a souvenir shop. Well, they took us, all 35 of us. And to be fair, I don't even know how they got us all in this room, because it was a small square room. And it were like, are we on a ride at Blackpool here? Why are all doors closing? Like, what's going on now? They're going to turn lights off and room's going to start spinning round or what? What the fuck is going on? Next thing you know, there's a tray full of drinks comes out. This very, very suspicious green-brown liquid. It's Coca-Cola, he says. It's like, I'm not joking, mate. That's a funny old Coca-Cola. What on earth? Oh, yeah. Just drink it. It'll be fine. It's like, yeah, mate. And how many people have heard that and ended up in places? You know what I mean? It's like, right, well, if this has got some Rohypnol in, here we go. So we all had to drink this drink, and I don't know what was it to loosen up. You know what I mean? Were it to loosen up my wallet? Definitely. So they give us all this drink, and it were a rug shop. Now Tunisia, they make rugs. That's one of the popular exports, right? So he goes round the room, and obviously I was probably the youngest person in the room, not going to lie, you know what I mean? This day excursion suited the Middle Ages or the geriatrics, you know what I mean? And I'm not being funny, but people of that age might want a rug. You know, it's probably worth pitching to. But I just went up to my man and I said, mate, Coca-Cola, questionable. Drank it nonetheless. I said, but look at me, pal. I said, do I look like I need a rug? Like, at the age of 21, 22, whatever I am, I'm not in need of a Tunisian rug right now. I said, but tell you what, give me your number, and when I want a Tunisian rug, guess who I'm ringing? I'll be ringing you. He didn't seem too happy with the patter, but he accepted my answer nonetheless. The doors opened. I was allowed out once again. I was a free man. Very, very, don't know, just didn't make me very happy.
It could have gone either way, that, couldn't it? It sounds like you could, one wrong thing you could have said and it could have been a worse outcome.
It's just the way they stand around you. Yeah. It's like when we had the bread made for us, everyone stood. Yeah, they stood in a very, it almost looks militant at times.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, I'm not this is not getting me in a relaxed mode. Never mind your fucking green brown Coca-Cola, whatever the fuck that is. And that's not relaxing me either. Anyway, we got out, then we went to El Gem. And El Gem is where the Colosseum is, and that's where they filmed a lot of Gladiator.
Seen that, yeah, it looks well good.
So they filmed a lot of Gladiator there because it's cheaper to film there than in Rome. Like, they did film some bits in Rome, but for the majority they filmed it there. That was good.
In Rome, you can't go in the Colosseum, you can't go in the middle of the Colosseum, you can only go on the outside. But in that one, you tell me if this is true or not, in that Colosseum, you can go everywhere. Like, they'll let you go everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, you could. Honestly, health and safety is not a thing in Tunisia, or it wasn't then, because it was like just a little paper sign saying, please do not climb on the Colosseum. Oops, sorry, didn't see that sign. And you could just climb the Colosseum if you wanted. So I had a decent climb and had a little, you know what I mean? I'm not going to risk hurting myself if I can. But yeah, I got to have a nice explore of the Colosseum, and it was good. Like you say, it's a different world out there. But that brings me on to wanting to ask you about, have you eaten anything interesting abroad?
I mean, interesting. I don't know about interesting. Now, I've delved a little bit in terms of like the local cuisine. I think the most I've delved in terms of local cuisine is probably in Greece, where you're talking about like your big rack of lamb ribs, lamb meatballs, moussaka, your Greek salad, gyros, your chicken souvlaki, lamb kleftiko, all those sort of things. All great meals. See, I mentioned the food when I was in Tunis. Weirdly enough, I didn't really eat that much food that was local to Tunis, and I would like to try some because there's something called leblebi, which is pretty interesting, where they give you your ball and you break up the bread. You break up like a roll of bread yourself to your own taste, and then they put this sort of stew stuff inside it, and they crack an egg open, and then, which is already kind of pre-boiled in a way, but still sort of runny, and they put that in, and like you mix it all together and you eat it. I think it's more classed as a winter snack over there, but I would like to try that. Anyway, going back, I do love a bit of Greek food. Man, the gyros, brilliant, great snack. Even if you don't want it as a snack, you want it as your main meal, filling as well. And also as well, I must admit, I'm a fiend for a Greek salad. When I'm on a bit of a diet, like this is like recently, these days we're talking now at home. If I'm on a bit of a diet and I'm thinking like, right, I need to have a bit of salad. Not you, by the way, Greek salad. Yeah, it is Greek salad that I choose. I'll make a Greek salad with your pepper, onions, your oregano, feta cheese, what's it called, extra virgin olive oil, tomatoes, sun-ripened tomatoes as well. So that's one thing I do like about it's such a basic, simple thing, but Greeks do the salad right. What about you? Anything interesting for you? I feel like you've delved quite a bit on your travels with food. It's I'm interested to know what you want to say.
I'm a man of the cuisine, me.
Absolutely.
I love
It
trying
shapes
food when
how
I'm
you eat
abroad.
now as well, isn't it? Like all the things that you've seen abroad, tasted abroad, it shaped your taste and culinary skills as well, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever I'm away, I always try and participate in the local delicacies. Like when I was in Tunisia, I had some goat when I was out there, which was interesting. Seafood salad and stuff like that. With like the squids on it and like baby octopus and all them sorts of things. You know what I mean? People have turned their nose up at that, and I get it. But I can't know that it's rubbish unless I try it. And more often than not, you try it. And if you can get over that first barrier, like we talked about
Mental
eating
barrier.
with your eyes, like you get over that and you start thinking, hey, do you know what? It's not bad, this. Tokyo, I'd walked, so I was vegetarian in Japan, so it was bloody hard work.
Tofu, though.
Tofu steak at Fushimi Inari. Honestly, it was that fucking good. I bought 3 in a row. I bet my guy thought he'd won lottery. Honestly, it was just a block of tofu on a flat grill, and then he sprayed it with some oil, put some like chili flakes on it. Fucking hell. I ate one. I was like, I'm going to get another. And I ate it, and I thought, do you know what? I don't know when I'm going to eat again.
Fuck it.
I got another.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was fucking great. But I walked around Tokyo. So when I was in Tokyo, I actually walked 10 miles around Tokyo during the day. Because I thought, you know what, I'm only here for a day. I'm just going to walk around. I'm going to walk to my hotel, wherever it is. It was miles away. But they got to a point where it was like 8 p.m. and I were hungry. And I just thought, fuck it. I'm just going to have to go in somewhere, aren't I? Anyway, I ended up breaking the vegetarian rules, and I got some noodles and I got some egg and I got some like fried squid, like tempura squid. It was delicious. Do you know what? It was absolutely unbelievable. But I've eaten food wherever I've been. Like in America, ended up in this place in Utah, and it was like, you what? You're vegetarian? It was like, yeah, vegetarians. Like, what the fuck is a vegetarian? We just eat fucking meat here.
Love the steak there, don't they? Some good steakhouses in USA. I was going to mention that when talking about my food, but I end up getting stuck in the Greek thing. But yeah, sorry, go on.
I've not had steak in America, but I have had steak in Germany. Been to a few steakhouses there. In Amsterdam, I had steak tartare. We went to a place for lunch with Pascal, and there were loads of shit on menu. And it's like, what do I fucking want ham for? Like, if I want ham, I could just go Asda when I'm at home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here, steak tartare's on the menu. I'm going to get steak tartare. All my mates are looking at me like, what the fuck? It's like, nah, like, gotta be done. You might die. It's like, well, if I die, then I die, don't I? Soz. But I'm going to try steak tartare. It was unbelievable. Very, very nice. And so much so that when I eat steak now, I'll eat it rare, I'll eat it blue. For me, and also, if you're going to buy steak in a restaurant, always order it less cooked than you would normally have it. So don't get a well-done piece of steak, because they're going to give you the shittest cut of steak.
It's so bad getting... This is my opinion. If any listeners out there, you like it well done, whatever, you do you eat your food how you like. There's no rules to food. Right. Disclaimer out there. My opinion on well done food, what the fuck is that? Shall I just eat fucking charcoal and ash? Like, and like some, shall I just eat chewing gum with charcoal and ash on it? Like, it's just completely pointless in my opinion. It takes the texture of the meat away, turns it into some dry, rubbery, chewy fucking thing. The flavour goes as well. My personal opinion on how a steak should be cooked, medium. Medium does absolutely fine. And if my mum's cooking me a steak, she'll be like, oh, yeah, I weren't sure, so just bear that in mind. And then, like, there's been times where she's seen me eating. It's like, do you want me to throw that back in the pan for you? I'm like, no, I ate half of it. Finishing it off, it's brilliant. And she's like, oh, it just looks a bit under. And it's like, no, I'm having it. Like, but medium is my preferred, but I will have it under medium. I don't think I'd go as far as blue, though. Blue is where I draw the line. I'm like, no chance. So, yeah.
In my opinion, medium ruins the flavour. You might as well be eating charcoal and ash and chewing gum.
You think of it like 2 up from rare is medium, 2 up from medium is well done. So it's just that whole, like, cooked more than what you're used to.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends what scale we're looking at. I mean, if you really get into it and you start looking at different grades that a steak can be cooked, there's over 30 different ways.
There's different cuts of steak as well, and they need to be cooked in different ways as well.
Yeah, but the general rule of thumb is if you order a well-done steak, because you like it well done, you're going to get a bad cut of meat, because it's easier to waste the poorer cuts of meat on people who want it well done. So a little tip for you well-done eaters out there, order it medium, and then say to them, "Oh, can you just put that back in for me?" Guarantee you get a better piece of meat, and it'll get cooked to your liking as well. So there you go, a little
It's a
tip
hack.
for all you.
Salad's life
Yeah,
hack.
there you go, salad's life hack, steak. Well done, eaters. But yeah, there are some other things that I've eaten. So my partner's Finnish, as we've discussed, and I did go to Finland actually. And when we were there, she said that she'd make me some food. And don't get me wrong, went to some restaurants. Like we had, there's like a traditional, it's like a variety plate or a buffet type thing, and like there's herrings in juniper berries, and a lot of it's fish. We went to a restaurant in Helsinki and we got a seafood platter. It was €100. But it was like, why not? You know what I mean? We're here. Let's enjoy it. And it was like lobster and mussels and clams and fish and caviar. Every type of seafood you could think of. There was like a raw section on the bottom, oysters, and then a cook section on the top. It was unbelievable. Like, it smelled so fresh. It smelled like the sea. But the most interesting thing for me was we was in the supermarket and she said, "Oh, I'm going to make you something that we would eat on school dinners." So it was like a tray bake of 3 different types of liver. So I think it was beef, chicken and lamb liver. And it's like pressed into a tray with rice and raisins. And then you cook it in the oven and then you serve it. And we had it with spinach pancakes and lingonberry jam. That was interesting. Like very, very rich, very gamey. Probably one of the only foods I've eaten in my life where I've never eaten anything else like that, ever. It just lives in its own world. I will go and get you the name of these things, maybe for the next episode, because I feel like I'm doing them a disservice. I probably should have got some notes of these things. But there is another Finnish dish.
You're not finished yet, you're not?
No, I'm not finished yet. I'm Russian.
I like it. I know what you mean by that. Not many people will know, but yeah, that was a good one.
There's a dish called macaroni lattico. And macaroni lattico basically means macaroni box. And what it is, macaroni pasta mixed with mince and onions with milk and eggs beaten up. You pour it in and you bake it in the oven. It should be sort of a dry affair, so it should go like a cake type thing. And then you cut it up and you serve it with tomato ketchup. And it's a Finnish comfort food. And do you know what? I had leftover macaroni lattico for my tea tonight because and it's one of those sorts of dishes that you can riff on it because we might put some veg in with it. We might not use beef. We might use lamb mince. We might use turkey mince. Like, there's a lot of things that can be changed as long as it's got macaroni and eggs and milk and you bake it. Some things can be swapped out, but I love it. My mum loves it. Anna certainly loves it. I don't know if we're doing it true to the Finnish way, but the spinach pancakes were really good. And in Finland, they do a lot of ice creams, and their ice creams are insane. They're huge. They're massive. Like, we go to the shop and get a cornetto. It's like, what's this? Bloody hell, Action Man won't be full off this. But you go to Finland, and they're absolutely massive, and they have these ice creams with a concentrated core, and you can get like different flavors, but they're big on salmiakki, and we talked about this when you were reviewing the chocolate. Salmiakki is licorice, and they're really big on the licorice over there. And one of the ice creams that I got was a licorice ice cream, so it was ice cream cone, but then in the middle was this it's like a semi-soft licorice. It was incredible. I actually got a steak in Helsinki as well. It wasn't nothing too great, you know what I mean? I'm one of them people, like I said in the food episode, sometimes I just feel like I could do it better myself, especially for some of the prices that you come up against in these city centre type places. Before we move on, are there any activities, any standout things? Like you said, you went cycling through Central Park. Anything else that you've done of note?
One thing, I feel like I might have mentioned this before briefly, but the first holiday I went on to Tenerife, I actually went to a football match to watch Club Deportivo Tenerife. Now, there's a bit of backstory to this. So, as I mentioned before, lads' holiday, I turned up one day and said, like, listen, there's a match over in Santa Cruz, and there's a coach that picks up at this time. You want to come? The other 5 lads, they were just like, no, like, what, come on holiday to go to a football match for? And I'm like, well, we've done fuck all else. So let's do something. Like, what, all we've been doing, like, while recovering from hangover, is just lying around and fucking playing pranks on each other. Like, you don't want like something to do. And they were like, no, fuck off. So I went off and did it. It's like, fuck these guys, going on my own. There's a match going on, I'm going. Tenerife versus Numancia. Tenerife won as well, which was great, and got to talking to some people. There was a guy on the coach who I got talking to was from Rishton, and he lives there as well, and he's like, he goes to all the home games and he gets on the same coach, so that was a good coincidence. Yeah, and then when I got back into the hotel, they're all just, they were exactly where they were when I left them, just the same place, and I had my Tenerife shirt on that I'd bought, and then they were like, "Oh, here he is," trying to like rib into me and that and all this lot. And then they said, "Oh, he's gone here on his own." I was, if they think I give a shit about going somewhere on my own, they don't know me very well. I'm happy doing things on my own. I don't care.
He's gone on his own. He's gone on his own. Carbs. He's gone on his own.
Yeah. Anyway, so then there was a moment where, like, once they got it off this system, they were ribbing into me because they were secretly jealous that they hadn't come. There was like an awkward silence, and one of them just went, to be fair, he's the only person who's actually done anything on this holiday apart from getting pissed. And everyone just went, yeah, and that was that. And later down the line as well, one of the lads that was on that holiday fairly recently admitted, you know what, I wish I'd have gone with you. Like, he said, I was just going with the flow with all the other lads taking the piss out of you, and I joined in, and I couldn't swallow my pride and say, oh yeah, I'll come with you. He said, and I was like, fair enough. And he said, would you be up for going this year? And I went, yeah, do it. Because he'd owned it. He'd owned it where he'd fucked up. We were like 19 years old back then. Come on, I mean, am I really going to hold into that, So anyway, there's that. Speaking of sporting events, when I was in Orlando, I've been to watch baseball a couple of times. Tampa Bay Rays, which is my baseball team, because of that reason. I've also been to watch NFL once. Went to watch Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not a Jaguars fan myself, but it was the NFL team of my friend who I was with, so it's fair enough. He was doing the driving. Jacksonville's a lot closer than Baltimore, so okay, then let's go to Jacksonville. From Orlando, and been to Orlando City FC as well to watch a football game. Pretty good. You're probably getting a bit of a gist here. Like, I do like to go to my sporting events. Another sporting event I went to when the first time we were in New York, I actually went to the US Open, the tennis US Open. Yeah, and it wasn't strictly the competition, it was the qualifying for it. But none other than James Ward was playing. But we had an Englishman to get behind, and so it was good to support him. Unfortunately, he lost, but it was a good experience. In terms of other activities, I've done a few boat trips while I was in Greece. There was one when we were in Zante, there was a boat trip that just took you around, visited various places. The place that they sailed us into this like cave that smelled of sulfur, absolutely reeked, and Turtle Island and various other things that kind of like mythology sometimes ties into as well. There was this bit where, when you sail past these rocks, if you close your eyes before sailing past them, when we sail past, if you open your eyes, the next person you'll look at, you'll fall madly in love with. All that sort of stuff. Tourists lap that stuff up. I think it's a lot of nonsense personally, but it's whatever, innit? It adds to it. Did a boat trip in Kos as well when I was on a holiday with some friends in Kos. Now, we made some friends while we were over there. You would talk about making friends over there. This is like making friends on holiday in like your adult life. So these friends that we made were from Scotland. So there were 6 of us that went on the holiday, and then we made 2 more friends while we were there. So it was 8 of us. So I said, oh yeah, let's go. We all get on fine. Let's do a boat trip together. Kos is quite close to Turkey, and I'd never been to Turkey before. And there was 2 boat trips on offer. There was one where you go to like these 3 little small islands that aren't as accessible as your islands like Kos and Zante and Corfu, for example. But there's still culture on there. So all of us wanted to go to Turkey. It's like, great, let's tick off 2 countries on one holiday. One guy was paranoid about going to Turkey. He's like, whoa, yeah, could get kidnapped by Syrians if we go there. I'm not going there. It's like, mate, the part of Turkey we're going to, do you realise how much distance there is between there and Syria? Mate, he's like, no, I've got a family, I've got a wife and kids to get back to. I'm not getting kidnapped. Like, you go ahead. So we all just looked at each other and was like, you know what? There's the boat trip we can go on to where one guy gets left out, and there's a boat trip we can go to. We can all go and enjoy ourselves. Let's do this Greek small island one if one of them doesn't want to go to Turkey, which I'm kind of disappointed at because I wanted to go to Turkey. Never been to Turkey. Been able to take that country off my country's list. But yeah, this boat trip was really good. Took us to like this little island, and there was like a nice little cathedral on it with a bell, and there were like locals selling us like towels and. You can tell that they don't get much custom because they're on this like secluded island. But then when the tourists come over to visit this like cathedral and into the bar and things like that, they get all this stuff out to sell to you, and it's kind of like the extra income in a way. You felt like you were helping out these like nice local people. They weren't pushy either. Yeah, and then there was like another island we went to where we went for a meal. Kind of had a looked round, went for a drink and things like that, and then got back on the boat again and came back home. I think might have dropped off at another island actually, but I don't think much to remember about it. That's kind of the main activities I've done really on my holidays. There may be some more I'm not thinking of right now, but I'm rambling on now anyway, so I'm going to stop.
Okay, so you like your sporting events?
Yeah, love it. Yeah.
I've seen the old Lionel Messi at the Nou Camp with Neymar.
I'm glad you said that because I saw Kaká at the Orlando.
Kaka's nice, but I'm a Messi fan, so you know what I mean. Kaka, I weren't that enamoured with him. I mean, it's not a bad name to have on the list, but for me, it was just incredible being at Nou Camp, seeing Messi. Not only that, he scored as well, which was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I actually got to stand there and go,
Yeah.
Messi, and it's like, and the goal scorer in Spanish, Lionel Messi, like the full stadium. It was like, I'm getting shivers now thinking about it.
Yeah.
It was insane. Then did some onsen baths in Japan. That was crazy.
That sounds like an experience in itself.
It was like, are you happy being naked? It's like, what? It's like, yeah, you have to get your kit off. So it's full naked. And to be fair, I experienced a bit of xenophobia over there for the first time. And you start to understand what it's like on the other side. You know how it feels when you're the minority, and you know, like anything I touched in that onsen bath, the Japanese didn't want to have anything to do with anymore. Like I said to my guy, I said, "Hey, listen, I'll show you a magic trick. Watch this." Walked into the sauna. There were 30 Japanese guys. I went and sat down. Oh, just got comfy. Opened my eyes. They'd all gone. It was incredible. They weren't that keen. I've been on a boat trip as well. So when I went to Finland with my partner, we actually did a boat trip to Estonia.
Nice.
Went to Tallinn.
Nice. Baltic.
That was incredible. Went to a medieval restaurant, Old Hansa House, it's called, or House Old Hansa. Anyway, the old town in Tallinn's very beautiful, very medieval vibes. And then this restaurant's been there for over 350 years, and we got a 17-course meal. Oh, it was crazy, you know, like, you're the lord and lady of tonight, here, I'm your servant, wash your hands, you know, break the bread. It was very theatrical. It was an experience. I must admit, towards the end, I was getting uncomfortable because I was that full, and I think that probably might have ruined it a little bit. But nonetheless, the experience was really, really good. I think it's time to go for a break because we have been chunnering on loads about different activities. We've talked about time in Japan. We've talked about going to Tunisia. We've had a lot of stories about all these different things that we've seen. This is the Salad and Carbs podcast. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the Salad and Carbs podcast, the only place where you can get 2 of your 5 a day. Before the break, we were talking about trips to Tunisia, rather funny drinks, brownie green Coke drinks, being made to walk through souvenir shops to get panoramic views, maybe access to different places. Do you want a Tunisian rug? Not yet, mate, but I'll ring you when I'm 50. How does that sound? We were talking about different sporting events that we've seen when we've been abroad. Carbs is a bit of a fan of a sporting event from what we can gather. I once had a piss at Pebble Beach in America. Just going to throw that in there. Didn't go and see any of the golf, but I was driving through and thought, I need to call of nature. Got to be done. So I've been to Pebble Beach. In this section, I want to talk about different cultures. But earlier, you mentioned that Tunisia had a bit of a French-speaking population. And you were saying that you could get by because you know a little bit of French. Or as you may say, je parle un peu de français.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I want to talk to you about languages and how many different languages do you know or are you aware of or can you speak a bit of?
So my history of language learning, I mean, obviously I'm going to put the blatant obvious one out there. Fluent in English, it's my mother tongue. Get that out there first.
Are you fluent in it though? It's debatable.
Yeah, well, I mean, fluent in Lancashire English, I guess. So there's that. And when I was in school, I got taught a bit of French. So I did French in GCSE. Didn't do very well in the examinations and the coursework, but, you know, you do retain some things. I feel like you were asking me this because of a certain app that I'd used called Duolingo. So I've been on Duolingo for a couple of years now, and it started because I was like, you know what, it's quite popular at the time. You know, my sister-in-law was doing Spanish, and she'd said, you know, if you want to learn a language, get yourself on this. And I was like, you know what, I will do it. The language that I've got closest to learning the most is probably French. I'm by no means fluent in it, so I started doing French. This is before the time I was speaking to the lady in Tunisia, And the lady in Tunisia that I was speaking to was actually a French teacher as well. So not only did she speak French, she spoke French really well. Like she was like very proficient at it because like, yeah, okay, they all speak French in Tunisia, but it's not their first language. It's like the language that you need to know to fill out documents and official like, forms and things like that there. It's like that's how they do it. Their primary language is Arabic, and the Tunisian dialects of Arabic. No surprise there, it's a Tunisian dialect, It's not going to be the Saudi dialect, is it? Yeah, so one thing I will touch on as well is that I did actually start to try learning Arabic as well. Very, very difficult language. And it was mainly because while I was over in Tunisia and I was hearing this language being spoken, I just found it amazing. I was in awe of how it was spoken, like the noises they were making, and like it's like that's how people are communicating with that and all that, and there's like 3 or 4 different ways to say the letter H, and it's just how hard, or like if you put some phlegm with it when you say it, like it is crazy really when you think about it. Like I feel like Arabic's the language where they may use all the possible sounds from a human being. Actually, no, I take that back. The letter P isn't in Arabic. They call Paris Baris, and another one as well. They don't call it Palestine. They call it Philistine. So that's another thing as well. There, so yeah, they don't use all the sounds in, but in terms of like noises you can produce, they do use a lot of them. And I did finish the Arabic course as well, and I got to the point where I was just like, you know what, I finished the Arabic course. They're not going to give me anything more to learn from it now. I'm just going around in circles learning the same things. Nowhere near fluent in this language. I can't go up to someone and speak it. I'll go back to French. It was a nice experience. It was a nice thing to pick up. I can learning the lettering system and how they work and stuff. It helped stretch my brain a bit. It was a challenge, and like I could feel my brain like growing like the more I like learn. Just the way I was like challenging myself to read in a totally different direction in characters that I'd never used before. It was a challenge and I liked it. But yeah, I went back to French. I know you've used Duolingo as well, haven't you? You've used it to do your Finnish.
I have, yes. So I know a little bit of French. I know a little bit of German. I wouldn't say I know many of these things, but you learn certain things, don't you? Like I could order something in France. I could say hello, goodbye, ask how someone is. Germany, probably a little bit less. Please and thank you. Can I have this? All that, yeah, all that sort of stuff. Bitteschön. Gesundheit, shoe, and all that sort of stuff. Japanese, know a little bit of Japanese, but I have been using Duolingo, or I was really into it at one point. So it was actually my partner who showed me Duolingo, and I got into it, and I was using it to learn Finnish, and I've finished Finnish on Duolingo.
Yeah, it sounds like a similar sort of thing that happened to me with the Arabic. Like
it was a smallish course. There's not that much on there.
2 sections. In the third section, you're just going in a circle.
Yeah, I'm not that fluent in it, but I have learned enough. And obviously, I've got a Finnish partner, so I'm always, she's always correcting me, or and I'm always trying. I'll try and say something, and if it's not right, she'll correct me. But the other day, she had a dress on, so I wanted to say beautiful girl in a beautiful dress. So it was kaunis tyttö, beautiful girl. But then to say in a beautiful dress, the words change. So it was samekossa, beautiful. To be inna is nissa. So that means to be in beautiful. And then is dress. So mekossa, so is in a beautiful dress. And she was like, yeah, that's good. Like, that's right. And I was like, yes, get in. But I've actually started learning Russian. So I've moved across. I'm struggling, to be honest. I've got something known as PDSD, post-Duolingo stress disorder, because I feel the gamification, it's no longer fun anymore, because once upon a time, you could go on Duolingo and you might have been able to work out a little trick known as setting up a school. I had a school of 1 student, and that was me. And by having my school, that meant I had unlimited lives. And I must admit, Duolingo was a lot funner when there was unlimited lives. There was less pressure and no adverts, which was incredible, because now it's an advert after every lesson. You get 5 lives, and I've lost all of my freeze streaks, and I am almost gonna lose I think I'm on like 557 days now or something like that.
That's how they want you, though.
I think, and then you're like a slave to the product then, and then like I say, it's PDSD. It's no longer fun, because I'm now beholden to that streak. And I think a lot of apps are doing this now. It's like, oh, your streak, get your streak, because they just want you on it, so they can plaster you with adverts and things like that. And for me, I am losing interest. So I have been looking into alternative apps, and I have been using a different app called Closemaster, CLOZ Master. And what I find good about Closemaster is, yeah, you've got to pay for it if you want the whistles and the bells, but it actually gives you context. And it, like, so when you answer the question, it's multiple choice. You answer the question, and then it tells you what every word in that sentence means and why that word is being used,
Breakdown.
what its translation is, and all the different grammatical parameters that are required to make up that sentence, and why you have chosen those options, and why did I say kaunissa mekkossa instead of just kaunis mekko? Because we're talking about being in address as opposed to just talking about the object itself. And I love that sort of thing because it's giving me that deeper understanding. So I do think at some point I'll probably get bored of Duolingo because I feel like at the moment Duolingo has power over me.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day I had power over Duolingo and I felt the learning experience was better for that. So Duolingo, if you're listening, think of ways. It's not all about money. You know, you've made enough money now. That green bird's everywhere. You know, you've had your musicals. You've taken over the world. Give something back to the people. Let's make it about the language, shall we? And not about the revenue. And I know that's hard. You're trying to run a business and all that sort of stuff. But you know what I mean? I'm just a customer complaining. I used to have a school. You took it off me. I'm fuming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I can relate to that because, like, although I've never actually had the free version, apart from when you get like, congratulations, you've got Super Duolingo for 3 days, or start a family plan, add some friends to it. Apart from that, but I totally agree with you because your mindset changes. So initially, your goal is to learn a language, and then you get your streak, and it's like, don't break your streak, or don't break your friend's streak, or look at these quests. You've got your monthly quest that you need to fill out, but you need to do the daily quests, and you need to do your friend quests as well. Before you know it, you're like, oh yeah, you're right, yeah, it'd be great to have that friend quest. But my streak means that I get to have a different logo for me app, and then they catch you with these things, and then before you know it, you're not actually focusing on language. You're focusing on keeping the streak alive. You're focusing on hitting the quests. You focus like these daily quests, and like I had to take a step back and just look at myself. I'm going to say, like, what I'm actually doing, because I found myself not, like, to keep the streak alive because I was on a difficult part of the course. I was doing maths lessons. I mean, I still am. I'm still slave to it. I'm holding my hand up and owning it. I was doing maths in a language learning app to keep my streak, to hit the quests, to keep my shitty owl on fire logo for my app. What has happened to me? What has happened? Like,
You've got PTSD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've got post-Duolingo stress disorder.
Exactly.
I am going to move things along because we are coming to the end of the episode. And we might revisit Duolingo at some point. Who knows? But this episode has been all about travel. I just want to say thank you to all our listeners. Please make sure you review us, leave us a comment, give us a rating. It's really, really good. If you're on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe to us. All these things help boost our profile and help make the podcast bigger. And we're going to be back in season 2. Well, we're going to finish season 1 first. But all of these things help us going forward. We hope you're enjoying the content. We're certainly loving doing it. We've talked about travel. We've talked about all our experiences abroad, different cultures, languages. We even got onto a bit of Duolingo on that funny little green bird that we're all slaves to, really. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about the UK. So we've been abroad and we're coming back home. I believe that Carbs has something known as the salad dressing.
I do have a salad dressing for you. You give me your salad dressing on driving in the USA.
Driving in the USA. Scary, pick up, motherfucker.
I just love, I mean, there's only me that can see this. I love seeing the cogs turning on your face. It's great. I love this section. And like, you're like sometimes the last one, it actually stumps you. And I love it. I love like the moment of stall and shit. What do I say? How can I sum this up?
I've got to do it quickly, you know what I mean? Salad dressing, it'll go off if it's out too long. So yeah, scary pickup motherfucker. It was, honestly, there's so many other words, I'm just going to leave it at that. This is the end of the episode. It's been a bit of a long one, this one. So we might be at like a running time of about 90 minutes for this one. Anyway, we've enjoyed it. We hope that you're enjoying it. You know what we're going to be talking about in the next episode? We're going to be talking all about the UK, and I imagine there'll be a bit of Lancashire in there for good measure as well. Carbs, have you got anything to add before we leave?
No, I'm good. I think we should wrap this up and save it for the next one.
Wonderful. You've been listening to the Salad and Carbs podcast, the only place where you can get 2 of your 5 a day. We'll see you soon. Sayonara.
Bislemma.